So something that is not talked about a lot when it comes to expecting parents is how drastic their nutrition changes. Interesting enough, it's not more so on the additional calories, but what is missed a lot in a lot of education is the fact that with the body changing, there is also a higher demand on nourishment, obviously, and fluid intake. And so mothers have a challenge of balancing the act, especially when they have gestational diabetes or they have any existing conditions, because let's face it, when you're eating for two, most individuals do say it starts after the child is born, because then you're breastfeeding, you really need more calories. But what happens when mom is pregnant, that child is really pulling nourishment from mom's system, right? And so it's less on the calorie intake, but it's the content and the quality of the food that she's eating. The cravings do definitely play a part, because they will also indicate if mom is malnourished. As majority of the studies do show, when mothers have pica, when they're eating non-food substances like clay, it does indicate that they have some form of deficiency. Although sometimes it can also be cultural, particularly in African communities. Actually, it's just a thing where mothers are actually encouraged to eat clay due to its mineral content. But when it comes to nourishment, it's important that mom is becoming aware of the fact that the food that she eats is important. The time when she eats that food is also so important. And so, for example, in the morning, and this is really not even just about moms, but across all humans. So this is helpful even those people that are not expecting. In the morning, the system is awakening. The system is just becoming aroused. So anything that is being ingested as a breakfast, knowing there is some intermittent fasting that may be happening, anything that is taken first thing should be really to warm up the system, loosen up the system, so to speak. And so having a start of the day with whatever nourishment that is, especially for those that like to eat before noon, or I would say that, are preparing to eat afternoon, let's take it that way. Your first meal, whatever it is, should be to loosen up. Like loosen up the stomach, loosen up the bowels. And so that is hydration. And light foods, less grease. Every once in a while, there could be cravings of fried foods, bacon or donuts and whatnot. But if it's a regular thing, that definitely could result to stagnation in the digestive system. What the fluids do is really help with the detox. And so nourishment for the very first meal lightly could be some fruits, and yes, even some greens, some vegetables. For individuals that do love to have their meats, sausages are good, but maybe skipping a day or two could definitely go a long way. And oats are so important. And it really, some people may even be challenged to say, I don't know what I'm going to eat. So with that, you really want to listen to your body. It could be that you actually may just need a small portion of porridge or even a soup. Now, for lunchtime, when there is more awakening in the system, that's when a heavier meal or a light to heavy meal may be taken. Now, this obviously may differ for mothers that may be experiencing nausea, vomiting, right? Especially in those early months. And so you're keeping it light, but you definitely need sustenance. And so knowing what portions to have is so important, right? But for noon to late, you could get a little more dense in your nourish picking. But again, keeping an eye on those cravings and seeing what else is missing. Another thing that is so important to add is our bodies do crave, again, whether we are expecting or not, if we are just malnourished in certain minerals. So individuals that are not eating a healthy, balanced diet, and quite honestly, majority of us, even as we try to do that, majority of the soil, the plants we have, they're in deficit, right? There's a lot of fortification going on. So it's advised that taking essential minerals actually does help. It really does reduce cravings, even for sweets. when you have your multivitamin, then there are those individuals who actually do partake in algae like the spirulina, they take the dulce. All those vegan options are actually really robust in nutrition. So I do know then there is a thing about odor and smell, especially when you're expecting. So just be mindful about what your body is wanting, but keeping an eye on the nourishment. It's important to know when to not eat certain foods. So for example, anywhere from 6 months onward, as the belly gets larger with less space happening, when you're eating a lot of roughage, those cruciferous vegetables, the broccolis, even the cabbages, right, the cauliflowers, those may take time to digest. So imagine mom eating that for her dinner, and then she goes and lay down. So not only is that going to slow down in her digestion, but she's going to be gassy. And so what does that mean? Most likely, if she loves those vegetables, she's better off having them during the day, like maybe at lunchtime, so that they are digesting. But again, watching the portions and being mindful that when food is ingested, it really does take a couple of days to get past through the small intestine. So just because it's exited the stomach doesn't mean the digestion stops. It keeps going. So all those gases that are going to be transmitted, there is the bloating. And so if you're having those vegetables every day, you're creating a buildup of gas in the body, especially if there is then constipation involved because there's iron intake on board. So watching the fiber intake is really going to be a balance between hydration and being mindful of when the meals are taken. And the last one I want to point out is raw vegetables, even the fruits. Those definitely you want to be mindful about, because what happens as you progress in pregnancy, there is definitely hormone changes. The digestive system is slowing down due to the hormones because baby's growing, the system is adjusting, right? Ligaments more expansive. So there's a lot going on. And so depending on when you have those salads, even that, if it's had late in the day, it's actually going to just sit there and it's going to ferment. So for mothers especially that are complaining about GERD, which is, having reflux, even those who are just like, oh my God, right? It's like you're burping the same thing you had from lunch, or you're burping the same thing you had from earlier in the day. Are you aware of that? Movement really helps. So if mom is not confined to bed and she's healthy and able to move, movement is the key, because when you get to move, and you allow more peristalsis in your gut, things move around more. Your bowels also move. When the bowels are moving, things move from the stomach and they're passed out. And so if there is any constipation, the go-to is fiber and water. But again, be mindful of what fibers you're eating or when you're eating them. And yes, do the hydration, but you can also add some trace minerals to your water too, to add on, minimize those cravings, and making sure that you're eating quality food. And it's not so much of what you're eating, but it's also when you're eating. So I hope this finds you, whomever you are, and you join our upcoming class. And if you need more details, go ahead and follow up on the website, lifesparkllc.com, and that is Lifespark without the A. And stay tuned. Thank you.